Welcome back to another Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the deep end of our source material, 9 Billion Saviors, specifically unpacking the profound spiritual mechanics laid out in chapters 3 through 5. We're moving right past the initial shock of the ghost wave and looking at what happens when the rubber finally meets the road. We'll be exploring a totally chaotic plaza riot that introduces some really heavy cosmic rules, and following our 20-year-old protagonists, Abby and Evan, as they try to navigate this intense new reality. So, let's set the scene with this incredibly intense moment. Evan steps right up to a rioting crowd, dropping us directly into the heart of the philosophical battle at play. The world is in absolute chaos. People are acting out on their deepest, darkest frustrations, and Evan just grabs a microphone to deliver this jarring instruction. I mean, he's asking people to stop acting blindly and start actually looking at the root of their pain. It's a huge, bold demand for self-awareness right in the middle of a literal riot. And this situation brilliantly illustrates the core conflict we're exploring today. On one side, you have the very tempting illusion of a consequence-free existence, championed by a character named Sir Pent. On the other side, you have the challenging but ultimately rewarding path of true spiritual responsibility, pushed by Evan and the new saviors. It's this massive clash between instant gratification and long-term self-mastery.
Let's actually unpack this captivating but seriously dangerous pitch that's being made to the masses.
Sir Pent is out there offering what he calls a heavenly socialist world, and honestly, on the surface it sounds like an incredible deal, because it promises you can erase your karma and act out your darkest emotions without ever paying the price. He's basically telling the crowd that if they just adopt his specific definitions, all crime vanishes. It's the ultimate free pass. No rules, no guilt, and absolutely zero effort required.
But here's the catch, and it's a huge one. This message acts like absolute gasoline on the crowd's unhealed wounds. When people have been holding on to years of frustration, resentment, and humiliation are suddenly told, hey, you have the right to act violently and you won't face any repercussions, it leads to a massive riot. The crowd literally starts chanting, "No more consequences." It perfectly captures that desperate human desire we all have to just avoid accountability.
Now, this entire chaotic scene actually sets up a massive revelation about how we're supposed to interact with the people who hurt us.
As Abby is watching this riot unfold, her savior drops a major truth bomb. Blindly forgiving toxic people isn't actually virtuous. It's a trap, and the source material calls it feeding. The text makes a really sharp distinction here. If you invite enemies inside your auric shield, your personal energetic space, and you just call it forgiveness, you aren't healing them at all. You're just draining your own potential and leaving yourself completely unprotected. It's a total reframing of traditional teachings on forgiveness.
And Evan completely shatters Sir Pent's illusion right there on the stage. He points out that cosmic debt doesn't just vanish into thin air. If you do damage and you refuse to take responsibility for it, that energy still has to go somewhere. The bill always comes due. Pretending the consequences aren't real is really just a sneaky way of forcing someone else to clean up your mess.
So, if the free pass is a lie, what are the actual rules of this universe's spiritual education? Enter Soul School. Say goodbye to that full-service absolver who magically wipes your slate clean while you sit back and relax. The new cosmic policy demands active participation. You're no longer a pet or a bystander. You are in rigorous training. Under this new system, every single soul has to do the hard work of redeeming its own misused energy. And there's actually a hard metric attached to this, 25%. You literally have to balance exactly 25% of your past negative karma before a graduated master will even consider stepping forward to sponsor you. You have to prove your commitment, You have to show that you're willing to put in the sweat equity to clean up your own record before the higher realms will invest their resources in you.
So how are you actually supposed to do that? Well, the Savior breaks it down into a very specific 3-step procedure for self-mastery. First, you have to actively ask for your karma back. You made the choices, so you have to take ownership. Second, you use a mystic tool called the Violet Flame. Now, this isn't a physical fire, it's an energy that clarifies and cleans up the cause, the effect, and the memory of your imperfect decisions. And finally, once you've cleaned up your own house, you have to step up and start helping to process the cumulative sins of the entire planet.
But hey, the good news is you aren't doing this entirely alone. There's this cosmic administrative council called the Karmic Board.
They work directly with your master sponsor to make sure that the tests and trials you face in your daily life are perfectly balanced with your actual capacity for karmic redemption. So it's a highly structured system designed to push you toward real growth without completely crushing you in the process.
While all these massive cosmic rules are shifting, our characters are simultaneously getting pulled in a million different directions by competing earthly forces.
Back down in the day-to-day lives of our 20-year-olds, the noise is just absolutely deafening. From these smooth-talking strangers known as the recruiter, who are pushing massive guilt-free forgiveness events, to intense online school petitions, to traditional youth pastors desperately trying to hold on to the old ways. Literally, everyone wants a piece of Abby's allegiance. The external world is totally mirroring the cosmic shift, and everyone is aggressively pitching their version of reality.
The Savior breaks this all down for Abby in a completely impartial way. Whether it's the recruiter promising wiped karma, or earthly political and social movements, like those intense school petitions and the debates around groups like TPUSA, the source text is crystal clear. We aren't taking any political sides here, we're just observing the source's neutral framework. These old and new systems, regardless of whether they lean left or right, are simply overlapping contracts. They're systems clawing for survival by offering you a sense of safety and identity. Soul School, on the other hand, offers actual, real growth, but it demands that you question every single offer that comes your way.
It's honestly a brilliant way to look at the societal noise around us. The Savior points out that we are constantly surrounded by these overlapping contracts. Every political movement, every online petition, every new ideology is essentially an entity that's either fighting to survive or clawing to be born. And guess what? They all require your energy, your signature, to exist.
With all of these competing forces begging for attention, how does anyone actually navigate the pressure?
Right in the middle of all the chaos, the riots, the aggressive recruiters, the viral petitions, the Savior delivers this incredibly beautiful piece of wisdom. Ultimate truth doesn't need to scream for attention. It isn't the loudest voice in the room, it's not the most viral post on your feed, and it isn't the slickest recruiter. It's the quiet whisper that remains when you finally tune out all the noise. Which brings us to Abby's pivotal moment. Closing all those distracting tabs, turning away from the fierce political arguments, the false promises of easy forgiveness, and the fear-mongering, she takes full ownership of her journey. She opens a blank document and simply types, Soul School Application. She makes the active, conscious choice to step into responsibility and actually do the hard work of self-mastery.
So as Abby takes her first real steps on this rigorous path to self-mastery, I want you to think about the overlapping systems in your own life. Think about the social, political, and spiritual forces demanding your energy right now. When you finally tune out the shouting, who really holds your contract? And more importantly, are you ready to start writing your own? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.